You can fill that hole with money, relationships, drugs, but it won't work. Islam directly attacks the root of the problem. It gives you perp. It tells you why you exist, what your goal is, and what happens after death. Suddenly, the chaos doesn't consume you. You understand your struggles are tests. You realize suffering has meaning. You know patience is rewarded. And that belief, that faith, it gives you strength pills can't give. That's why Muslims who truly live their faith handle hardships differently. They don't drown in despair. They find hope in Allah. Modernity gives you antidepressants. Islam gives you meaning, and meaning is the strongest medicine. You want to fix the mental health crisis. Stop removing God from people's lives. Islam is not just a religion, it's the cure to the sickness of modern chaos. People scream about freedom all day long. I'm free, I can drink, I can party, I can do what I want. But let's be real. That's not freedom, that's slavery. Dressed up in neon lights, you're chained to your desires, addicted to substances, glued to a screen. Modern society sells you this fake idea that chasing pleasure is freedom, but it's a trap. You wake up broke, depressed, empty, and still call it freedom. Islam exposes this lie. True freedom is discipline, it's mastering yourself. The Quran literally calls out mankind's tendency to follow desires blindly. You're either a slave to your lust, your boss, your addiction, or you choose to be a servant of God who asks nothing from you except what will make you strong. That's freedom. Society wants weak men, and Islam builds strong ones. You can either be lost in this chaos or step into clarity. Walk into any mall, scroll through Instagram, what do you see? Buy this, wear that, upgrade now, or you're worthless. Consumerism is the new religion. People worship brands instead of God. And the system loves it because the more you chase status through stuff, the emptier you feel and the more you spend. Endless cycle. Islam destroys this system by that wealth is a tool, not a god. Without this guidance, consumerism eats you alive. And that's exactly why the modern world is chaotic. Why do we see skyrocketing depression, anxiety, suicides, even though people today have more comforts than ever? It's because material comfort doesn't heal the soul. Western society tries to fix inner emptiness with pills, therapists, or distractions. But the root problem is spiritual. You can't medicate a soul starving for meaning. Islam addresses the human heart directly. Through prayer, remembrance, discipline, and connection with Allah, it heals what money, drugs, or distractions can't. The Quran literally says, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest." Look at men today, lost, dick-addicted, purposeless. They don't know why they exist. Islam gives clarity. You're not here by accident. You're here for a reason. And once you align with that reason, the mental chaos fades. That's why Islam is the answer, because it heals the root, not just the symptoms. The modern world has destroyed the family unit. Divorce rates are insane. Kids grow up without fathers. Men are weak. Women are told they don't need men. And children are lost in the crossfire. Society pretends this is progress. But look around. It's disaster. Families are the backbone of civilization. And when you break that, chaos takes over. Islam protects the family. It gives roles, responsibilities, respect, and structure. The father is strong and protective. The mother is honored and cherished, and children are raised with values. That's stability. Compare that to a society where families are shattered. Kids are raised by TikTok, and people are addicted to casual flings instead of building household. The West calls Islam oppressive, but in reality, it's the only system protecting family life. Without strong families, you don't have strong communities. Without strong communities, the world collapses. Islam saves that. The modern world worships pleasure. Everything is about do what feels good right now. But when you live for nothing beyond pleasure, you become hollow. Endless drinking, hookups, parties. Where does it lead? Regret, emptiness, disease, broken soul? People think Islam banning alcohol, drugs, and casual sex is strict, but it's actually protection. It keeps men disciplined, women honored, and society healthy. Look at the so-called freedom of the West. STDs, broken marriages, destroyed mental health. Hedonism is chaos. Islam is order. Islam channels human desires in a healthy way. Marriage discipline, gratitude. Instead of being, look around you. Everywhere you see chaos, depression rates sky high, anxiety eating people alive, marriages falling apart, families broken, men don't know how to be men anymore, women don't know what they want. Everyone is chasing money, fame, and temporary highs. That's the modern world. It sells you freedom, but you end up cycle repeats. That's not living. That's slavery. The truth is, modern society has removed God from the equation. When you take God out, you get chaos. You get people who don't know who they are or why they exist. Islam answers that. Islam says your purpose is to worship Allah, live with discipline, and prepare for the eternal life. When you anchor yourself to God, suddenly the chaos doesn't control you. You control yourself. That's why Islam is the solution. It's not about restrictions. It's about freedom from the addictions, from the slavery of desires, from the emptiness that modern life breeds. Without Islam, modernity is just noise. With Islam, it becomes clarity. People love to scream about freedom in the West. Do whatever you want, they say. But is that real freedom? No. It's slavery disguised as freedom. You drink, smoke, party, sleep around, but at the end of the day, you're emptier than you were before. You're free to destroy yourself, free to ruin your family, free to live a meaningless life. That's not freedom. That's chaos. Islam redefines as freedom. True freedom is discipline. Freedom is not being a slave to your lust, your addictions, your lower self. Islam tells you control yourself because if you don't, the world will control you. The West says follow your desires. Islam says master your desire. Which one do you think leads to strength and which leads to weakness? Look at the West. Men are weak, families are broken, children are lost. Meanwhile, a Muslim who prays 5 times a day, fasts in Ramadan, stays away from drugs and alcohol. He's disciplined, focused, and strong. That's real freedom. Islam doesn't enslave you. It liberates you from the lies of modernity. You're no longer a puppet for corporations or trends. You become a servant of God, and that's the highest form of power. The modern world hates the family unit. Divorce is normalized. Marriage is a joke. Children grow up in broken homes, confused and weak. Women are told they don't need men, and men are told masculinity is toxic. The result, a generation that doesn't know how to love, how to lead, or how to build a future. Islam protects the family. It places marriage at the center of society. It says men have responsibilities to provide, to protect, to lead. It says women have dignity, value, and a role that's just as important. It tells children to honor their parents. Every role has purpose. Without family, society collapses. Look at the West. It's collapsed. Depression, loneliness, abuse, it all ties back to the destruction of family. Islam prevents that. It makes family sacred. It makes loyalty to your spouse and respect to your parents an act of worship. That's why Muslim families, despite struggles, are stronger than what you see in modern chaos. You want stability in your life? Start with Islam. You want kids who aren't brainwashed by nonsense? Raise them Muslim. That's how you build a strong society, on family discipline and faith, not on Tinder hookups and broken homes. Walk into any city in the West and you'll see the drug culture, the drinking culture. People can't function without stimulants. Coffee to wake up, alcohol to forget, drugs to feel alive. That's slavery, that's chaos. They call it coping, but it's really a Islam cuts that poison out of your life. Alcohol forbidden, drugs forbidden, gambling forbidden. Why? Because Allah knows they destroy you. He knows they numb you until you forget your purpose. Modern society profits off your addictions. Companies make billions selling you poisons. Islam, on the other hand, gives you discipline. You don't need alcohol to have fun. You don't need drugs to alive. You find joy in prayer, peace and remembrance, strength and fasting. And the results? Muslims aren't filling rehab centers like the rest of the world. Islam shields you from self-destruction. Think about it. What kind of system says here, destroy yourself and we'll make money off it? That's modernity. What kind of system says protect yourself, honor your body, live with clarity? That's Islam. The modern world breeds. Islam breeds warriors. That's why Islam is the answer to the chaos. Everyone in the West is talking about mental health, depression, anxiety, burnout. It's everywhere. Billions are being spent on therapy and pills, but the problem keeps getting worse. Why? Because they're treating the symptoms, not the cause. The cause is emptiness. When you live without God, you feel empty. You can fill that hole which